I've also read hundreds of the books on the rules of success. The result of practicing this was quite shocking, however. I was so hugely impressed that I couldn't help talking to people about the energy I got from it. Is neither a lie nor exaggeration. Hello, I'm HawaiiDJT. While the other day I was talking with my friend about random topics, then in the middle of listening to my story, he suddenly said to me, "Wow, things really came true exactly as you said before." But when I heard that, I got to think, actually, it is not the case. I'm just doing the same things easily as I did it before. Today, I'm starting with this story because I've received so many questions from my subscribers, and the most of them were about how to deal with the law of attraction in a concrete way in terms of methodology. There were so many different questions. You might have heard from everywhere that you should speak out your goals as well as write down and visualize them by imagination. What if you go a level deeper from there in more details? For example, how to make a sentence, or if everything you want should be summarized into one sentence, or if you should concentrate on the only one scene when you visualize it by imagination. You might have not heard about such things in detail. These can seem to be trivial things, but for people starting from the scratch, or people who have tried at least, but constantly facing obstacles and feeling lack of confidence, these details will be a lot of help. So today, I'm going to talk about realizing your imagination through the law of attraction, specifically with detailed practice guide. Let's begin with the first step. Whether it's speaking out or writing down, you need to know first what you want exactly. It's also called a goal. When I was providing one-day classes through Twitter, some people actually asked me about this. Having conversations with my subscribers, I could see that most of the time their goal was not what they really wanted. They believed that they wanted this and that. However, mostly it came from their parents or comparing with other people, eventually making them think, maybe at least I should be this level. But it's not your pure desire. There are two ways of figuring out if this desire is truly yours or not. The first is to imagine yourself as if you've already achieved your goal. Although it can be hard, try to imagine as vividly as you can. If you fail, try again and again. The first try is always easy to fail. How do you feel when you imagine the scene? Excited, like exploding with joy? Check it yourself. When you imagine the scene you really want deep inside, you can't help smiling and feeling so happy. But if you don't have that special feelings, mostly it's not what you really want. You can use the second method when the first one doesn't make you clear. In my previous video, I've talked about Gonda Masanori's methodology. If you use that, now you can clearly figure out. Before thinking about your desire or what you want, write down and list up what you don't want to do. Just random writing on the paper. Forget about your actual situations. Just think purely like, I'd never do this in my life. I don't want to live doing these things. Write down those things without any limitations. Then you'll see what you want to do, your real desire or something you want in this life, or ideal lifestyle you're dreaming of, etc. Going further, you can even know your desire that you were not even aware of. Now that you found what you want, let's go for the second step. I already talked about it often in my videos, the 4 ways. I'll add a few more. So there are different ways, but the purpose of them is only one. It's to stamp your vision on the unconscious, subconscious, or if your subconscious is always being affected by your self-limit making, its potential locked, these methods can install a new software. The experts, the authors of books suggest different ways. Although visualization and the law of attraction are exactly the same core, the details in it can be varied. For example, Gonda Masanori emphasizes the importance of handwriting, saying like this, this is my favorite part. Write down your goals on the paper. It comes true. Again, I'm telling you, write down on paper, then it becomes real. It will be realized no matter what, he said, when he talks about this method carefully at a lecture or a seminar. Most of the successful people confessed they also did the same, writing down their goals on paper. You might doubt it, thinking, just write down and dreams come true? How can it be that easy and simple? In this regard, Gonda Masanori says, success or failure is decided by whether or not you wrote your goals down on paper. But most people don't believe that. and nobody tries that. As well as Ganda Masanori, Jim Kim, and Kelly Choi, and many successful people underline this method. Bob Proctor emphasized both speaking out the goals and visualizing them by imagination, while Neville Goddard and a brain scientist, Joe Dispenza, emphasize power of imagination the most. I can list up so many more, but I'll stop here and we'll look through the methods one by one. So let's start with the first way of all four. It's putting your desire in one sentence and speaking it out loud. I speak it out 100 times a day. You can do so when you're alone, taking a walk, or driving. It's also okay to just speak to yourself. I'm doing this for years now, not missing even a day. At first I counted with my fingers, but then I got confused with counting. I was often like, was it 47 times or 57 times? Most of all, I was concentrating on counting itself rather than the content of the sentence. So I got a lot of help from an application called Easy Counter. I'm not advertising it. I'm recommending it after using it myself. If you set 100 times in the app, when you finish counting 100 times, the screen color will change with vibration. Then I feel kind of a small sense of achievement. In that way, you can also stack your success experience day by day. I told you before, success doesn't need to be so big or grand from the first place. Achieving what you want, that is a simple definition of success. Speaking out what you want 100 times every day, that is experiencing success on a daily basis too. Also, I've got so many questions about making this sentence. First, it doesn't need to be only one sentence. If your goals are related to different areas, like both economic goal and career goal, you can make 2 sentences. If time allows, you can speak 100 or 200 times a day respectively. Or you can do 1 sentence a day and the other next day. There are no fixed rules or regulations. It's only to input the message in your subconscious. So just remember that and go on. You can check some sample sentences in my previous 5 minutes video. You can learn there what should be essentially included in the sentence, like I, year, amount, making it as past tense. For example, you can say, I'd earned 5 billion won by 2026. Now I'm spreading good influence to the world around me. In my case, I made my first sentence after I'd been conned out of 100 million won for an estate. After that, I actually earned more than 200 million won in a year. Before, I used words like in a few years too. But making more and more sentences, I got to think that rather than in a few years or after a few years, putting the exact year would be more efficient. It's because we humans are living in the world of 3 dimensions, and we cannot recognize dimensions above that. 1D is line, while as 2D plane, 3D is about space. We human beings cannot recognize 4D, which is space with time. Since we can't recognize it, we made clocks to understand the time as something flowing. So with this concept of flowing, we made our own mechanism for time, with past, present, and future. This concept has been already explained by Einstein, as well as so many theoretical physicists. But if we can also perceive 4D, we'll be able to understand time as being rather than flowing. So I think this way. I'm just seeing future myself already being and already living the ideal life through visualization. That's why I always call it preview of my life. Also, I suggest you to use past tense because of 2 reasons. First, because it already exists. Second, as we use coordinates when we talk about specific location, our future as well already exists at some specific time, so labeling it exactly like 2024 June will be more reasonable. Now let's talk about the second method among 4. It's handwriting. Many successful people suggest writing down 100 times for 100 days. Also, Jim Kim had tried this way 8 times in his life when he wanted to achieve something so eagerly. He achieved them all successfully. It's more difficult to write down 100 times for 100 days than you think. I also managed to do it just last year, even though I knew about this method. You'll number each sentence. My hand was aching from number 11. So there were some subscribers asking if it's okay just to type. In my case, I used Apple Pencil with iPad's GoodNotes. You should always remember why you're doing it as well. It's for our subconscious, right? Handwriting is a stronger way than just speaking when it comes to stamping the words on our brain. That's why we take notes in our classes or when we're studying. Let's suppose that our unconscious or subconscious is cement. Speaking 100 times is like writing down with wooden chopsticks. Handwriting 100 times for 100 days is more like writing down with steel chopsticks on cement. So it's a metaphor to help you understand. In conclusion, typing is not that efficient. There was another question from subscribers. They asked if they should write the same sentences used in speaking. In my opinion, it's okay to be different sentence. Of course, it's good to be same sentence as well. I've talked about this method many times, and I think only 2 to 3 out of 10 people were successful. It takes 30 to 40 minutes to write down 100 times. For 100 days, which is 3 months and a half, you need a will to do it no matter what without missing a day controlling the situation. I did it even when I was sick, on days when I worked overtime, even on the day I was so tired and half asleep without any exceptions. I didn't drink alcohol at all, of course. You can't do it being drunken. The moment you write down the 100th sentence on the 100th day, which is the 10,000th sentence, you'll be having a lot on your mind. With a sense of achievement, you'll be touched for sure. You've made 100 successes for 100 days. That successful experience will remain in your subconscious. Most of all, while you're writing for 100 days, your thoughts, lifestyle, and the way of thinking would also subtly change. You can feel you're being filled up with positive energies little by little. Of course, your goal is not necessarily achieved on the 100th day. Writing down doesn't guarantee that instant achievement. There were some subscribers telling me that they achieved the goal in the middle of those 100 days. That case can exist, of course. However, usually we're not writing down short-term goal. At least it's medium or long-term. So normally, it's hard to achieve by the 100th day. I wrote medium and long-term goals too, so those goals are not realized yet. But what's amazing is, since I wrote them down until now, my life is totally set in the direction for that goal, and many intermediate goals have been achieved now. There's this special feeling when you witness the actual process. I hope you'll experience that feeling too. Now, it's the third method. It's visualizing with imagination. This is so important to do. There's a vital reason to do this. It's for you to have the inspiring moment when you visualize that your dream already came true. That feeling is the key. I can explain it in 2 ways. Neville Goddard, a metaphysician, and Rhonda Byrne, the author of The Secret, explained that the law of attraction is like a mirror, so it exactly reflects what you're feeling and makes you to be just you feel like. There's another author who gives funnier approach with the same concept. He is Harv Eker, the author of Secrets of Millionaire Mind. He provides a different approach. Let's think about it this way. The highest power, the universe, is like a big mail order department. It is constantly sending you people, events, and situations. When you believe something, you are sending relevant messages to the universe. It's like you're ordering what you want to the universe. The universe is willing to respond to the law of attraction. It does its best to give you what you ordered. However, if your messages in the file are all mixed up, the universe won't know what you actually want. Let's say you wish to become rich and they started to send the opportunities. Soon, it also receives the message telling them that being rich is being greedy. Then, they start to support you not to be rich. Again, you send message that being rich will make your life happier. Now the universe is more confused, but start to send you the opportunities again. But the next day you're so depressed and think that money isn't important. The universe gets angry and shouts, "Just make up your mind. I'll give you what you want, so just tell me." The reason why you don't get what you want is because you don't know what you want. Rich people are very determined to become rich. They don't send confusing messages to the universe either. There are also other people who give us a different point of view. They are brain scientists. Among the most famous are Dr. Joe Dispenza and Dr. Bruce Lipton. Especially Dr. Joe Dispenza explains so clearly through the concept of neuroplasticity. So when you're feeling like your dream has already come true, your brain starts to rearrange and generate neurons, making the neuron structure physically same as those of people having what you dream of, basically the same brain structure. In this way, you can become a person who already did it. Since you already have experienced it, you can be calm and just continue with the existing process to achieve your goal. Here, I want to point out this. Many people from different areas who succeeded through the law of attraction explain it using their different expertise. Why would it be that? Because it's real and it does work. This really happens. Even though we human beings can't know why and how, we cannot simply label it as a miracle or myth. Rhonda Byrne suggests us not to try to know why or how because, for human, it is an eternal mystery and the universe is just there to respond. This is quite a rough viewpoint. However, we cannot just say it's true without any explanations about principles or reasons, because people usually don't believe what's invisible. Normally, they are, so they are using their own expertise to explain it. Metaphysics, energy, wave, brain science, and many others are the tools to explain it. So while I was reading these different points of view, I got a hint, so this is 200% true. I already achieved things using the law of attraction and experienced it myself, so I was sure 100%, but these points of view gave me double confidence. So, as I said before, it is really working method, but we need to explain to people who are indifferent about it. So they are trying to persuade with different explanations in different areas. Most of all, I could relate to the authors because I also wanted to share these amazing experiences with others. I've been doing this visualization since 15 years ago. At that time, I didn't know any of these books or people. All I could do was imagining. I did it with a desperate instinct. Every visualization I've done so far has one thing in common. It's that I imagined every detail. When I was looking for a job, I imagined that I was already working for my dream company. Before visualizing, I visited the company's website and found the team I wanted to be in. How many people? Who's the team leader? I studied it and visualized it. Okay, there are all 8 people. So maybe I'd sit at the end because I'm a newbie. The team leader is this kind of person, and I'm wearing an employee ID on my neck. I'd matched this and that close. The team office is next to the large window so I can see outside. At lunchtime, we're heading together to the lunchroom. My colleagues are smiling at me and making this joke. At the team meeting in the afternoon, my team leader told me this. My team seniors gave me this impression. I mean the details up to this level. I started this visualization right after I submitted the application. I'd applied to more than 100 companies before this and got rejected. And for those companies, I didn't visualize like this. But I passed the written screening for this company, so I visualized harder while preparing for the next screening. I did it every day before going to bed and right after getting up in the morning. Usually, it takes 2 or 3 months after application to be hired. I practiced visualization throughout that period. Then I was invited to interview. Usually, the company logo is attached to the company's main door. That day, coming into the building, I saw the company logo on glass doors. It felt really familiar and comfortable, like I belonged there. It's not a common case for the job interviewee to have that feelings. That was my case though. It was due to my visualization, like I was already working for that company for a while. That also made me so relaxed. Even though I didn't have a good qualification, I made it despite the tough competition. The competition rate for the final interview was 10-1, but in the end, I got in. Likewise, if I want to meet someone, I visualize it in great detail. I start from the weather of that day, about the place, how the furniture is arranged there, temperature, light, facial expressions of that person, what the person is saying to me, how it feels like when we handshake. Like I've said so far, I did this strong visualization just for one reason. The more concrete you imagine, the more vividly you can feel the situation. So this is it for today. We've seen 3 ways out of 4 of practicing in detail the law of attraction and addition. There are so many things to say, so it's going to be too long for one video. So today, we talked about how to find what you want, how to check if it's really what you want, and how you can speak, write, visualize with imagination. In the next video, we're going to see the 4th method, as well as the other effective ways. I'd like to close by quoting Gonda Masanori, a Japanese top marketing consultant. His words contain exactly what I want to deliver to you. Why are goals achieved when I write them down? It was just amazing. I've also read hundreds of the books on the rules of success. The result of practicing this was quite shocking, however. I was so hugely impressed that I couldn't help talking to people about the energy I got from it. It was this simple principle, but we couldn't learn it in school, so it's scarcely known. Only the people who know and practice this principle keep achieving their dreams. This is neither a lie nor exaggeration. The lamp of the genie exists.